So my daughter-in-law is a photographer, and for my Mother's Day gift, she is going to take photos of me with all the grandkids that live here in town. So we're doing that this afternoon. So I'm going to go ahead and get our dinner started. It's going to go in the crock pot. So we're going to make a barbecued roast today. And I was just outside gardening and it's terribly muggy today, so I'm sweating, red-faced, all that fun stuff. So what we're going to do first is figure out what's hanging off my shorts. So what we're going to do first is sear our roast really well. So we're going to let our pan get hot. And once it's hot, we're going to go ahead and put our roast in there. Let me just move this, make sure this oil gets all over the pan. Now the actual recipe has you cook it in a Dutch oven on the stove, but I want to do this in the crock pot so that I can just let it cook on low all day while I'm gone. That way I don't have to worry about it. It's not going to heat up the house. It's going to be awesome. Alright, so we're going to put our roast down in our pan. Oh, yep, it's nice and hot. We're going to drizzle just a little bit of oil over the top of this. And then we're going to sprinkle some salt. And some pepper. We're going to let that sear, and then we're going to flip it over and we're going to add some salt and pepper on that side as well. So just want to let it sear for a couple of minutes. Ooh, look at that. And then we're going to flip it over. And we're going to go ahead and salt and pepper this other side as well. So all I did then was just pull that seared meat into my crock, and we're just going to cover it with barbecue sauce. This is the simplest recipe. And I'm using a store-bought barbecue sauce because I have it open in the refrigerator and it needs to get used. So the recipe calls for a 28-ounce bottle. This is a 40-ounce bottle that was about 2/3 full, so I'm like, that's close enough. I'm going to add a little water and shake it up so we get all that sauce out, or as much as we can. So now I'm just going to put the lid on, and we are going to put this on low, and we'll just let it cook. And then when I get home this afternoon from my photo shoot at my daughter-in-law's, then we will go ahead and make up our sides, and we'll have a simple, delicious dinner. roast, oh my gosh, smells delicious. So I'm gonna get started on our potatoes. These are called crispy leaf potatoes. So this recipe makes a ton. You're supposed to use 9 pounds of potatoes. There's just 2 of us, so I'm not gonna use that many. So I'm just gonna use 4 potatoes because I think that is plenty for me and my husband. So I need to peel them. Get all these peeled, and I'll put this in a pile to go in the compost, all my peel. So I just came back from my son and daughter-in-law's because my daughter-in-law was doing those Mother's Day photos for me. So it was about as successful as I expected, because trying to get 4 kids of all different ages to sit down and look at the camera and smile and not be goofy, and trying to get the baby to not move while everybody else is sitting still, but that's okay. They'll be perfect, they'll be good memories. Even if nobody's smiling or nobody's looking at the camera, it's okay. Oh! I really wish I knew where my mandolin was. So I'm trying to figure out how I want to do these. If I want to put them through the KitchenAid attachment or if I want to use my food processor. I think I might use the food processor to slice these up really thin. Because for this recipe in particular, you really want the potatoes to be super thin, because that's part of what's going to make them crispy when you bake them. And this potato peeler is not the best one in the world. All right, let's clean up these potato peels and then we'll move on to the next step. All right, so I've got my food processor out. I don't know if I've ever even used the slicer. All right, well, we're gonna give this a try. Let's see what happens. Oops. Okay, am I like not doing this? What am I doing here? I forgot you have to add the little adjustment piece. All right, so I'm going to give my potatoes a rinse. Where's my... All right, somewhere I'm missing the little piece that you use to push this down. Here it is. I knew I'd seen it somewhere. All right, let's see how this works. All right. Oh, that did work. Look at that. Isn't that fancy? potato's too fat, so I'm gonna have to cut it. Let's see. All right. Okay, that's it here. So we're going to want to pat these dry. I need to spread that out some more. So we just want to dry these off as much as we can. And then we're going to put the dried off potatoes in a bowl. And then we're going to put some butter and salt and pepper and rosemary on these. So I'm going to get my oven preheating to 400. Because these are going to take an hour to cook. So some of these are really thin and some of these are a little less thin. I mean, none of them are super thick, but it's weird that they're not all the same. I don't know, but I think they're all thin enough. So I'm just going to keep kind of patting all these dry. So getting rid of some of this extra moisture is what's going to help our potatoes get crispy. Otherwise, they'll just kind of steam in the oven. So I just have a few left here. We'll get these kind of dried off and then we'll start adding our butter and the rest of our ingredients in here. So apparently right after I left to go to my son and daughter-in-law's earlier, my husband was working outside and he was pushing the wheelbarrow and he hit something and made it kind of stop, and he tripped and fell and like cut his nose, so it looks really bad. So hopefully he's okay. Okay, since I did not do 9 pounds of potatoes, now I have to figure out how to cut this down. Let's see. It says 12 ounces of butter. So let's see. So I think I've got about 8 tablespoons, maybe a little more. So I've got that in the microwave. We're also going to add some salt and pepper and either rosemary or oregano. I think I will add oregano actually, but we'll go ahead and put some salt and pepper in here. So it calls for 3 teaspoons of salt for the full recipe. So I'm going to do about 3/4. We can always salt them more if we need to. A little bit of pepper. So 4 teaspoons of oregano. So I'm going to do, maybe 2 teaspoons. And then here's our melted butter. So I'm just going to pour this over the potatoes. And then I just want to stir this up and make sure that the potatoes, don't go flying across the counter, but make sure that they all get covered. So so that they're well coated with this butter as best as I can. I hope these turn out. I'm so excited about these potatoes. And that barbecue roast smells so good. All right. So now what we want to do is, so I'm going to use these two mini loaf pans. And what we want to do is like stack the potatoes standing up in the pans, and we don't want to squish them too tight, but we want to make sure that they stay standing up. If we squish them too tight, then they won't get crispy because they won't have enough space in there to cook right. So we're going to give this a shot here and see how it works. And this might have been too much butter. I don't even know really how much 12 ounces is. I probably should have looked before I started melting, but that's okay. Whatever's left, I'll pour over the top of them. I'm just going to keep stacking these up so that they're standing up in these little pans. Okay, so I've got all the potatoes. I'm going to go ahead, there's just a little bit of the butter seasoning mixture left. So I'm going to go ahead and just pour that into, or pour that on top of my potatoes. Okay, so my little pans look like this. So my oven is preheated, it's at 400. I'm going to put these in here and we're going to cook them for about an hour. So I'm going to set it for 50 minutes and then we'll check it because I don't want to overcook it. I don't want to burn them. So I'm going to set it for 50. I'll check them after 50 and then add the extra 10 minutes if we need to. So I'm going to get these in the oven. All right, so while those are cooking, I'm going to go ahead and clean everything up. I'm going to turn this roast down to just warm because it's definitely done. So I'm going to put everything away, get my dishwasher loaded up, and then I'll be back when everything is done and I can show you what our potatoes look like. Okay, so the timer went off. The potatoes were really close to being done, I think. I put them in for 5 more minutes and then we're just having corn with it. So I'm gonna go ahead and start pulling some of this barbecued meat. Oh my gosh, it smells so good. I'm gonna pull some of this off and onto our plates. And let's see if we can get some of this. How much do you want, hon?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, here you go. I'll put some on here and then obviously you can get more. There's plenty. All right, so the microwave just went off. So I was gonna do something green, like green beans or something, but when I went downstairs to get the potatoes, I saw the corn and it sounded good, so we're having corn. I try not to do too many starchy things together, but it sounds good. I haven't eaten all day. I'm assuming you haven't eaten all day, so it won't hurt us. All right, so here, try and get this where you guys can see them. So here are how these potatoes look. They smell delicious and they're nice and crispy, so we are going to give these a try. Oh. That's not working. Let me do this. I was afraid I was going to accidentally touch that pan with my fingers. That would not be smart. All right, so let's see. So I wonder if they're done. Let me see. They're fun. They're good. Based on that bite I just took, I think they need more salt, but ooh, yummy. Okay. All right, so I'm gonna put a little more salt on my potatoes. You wanna come try this one?
Yeah.
So these potatoes are called leaf potatoes. So it's just thin potatoes with salt and pepper and butter, and we just cooked them like this. And then the beef is just has salt and pepper and barbecue sauce.
That's good.
So basically what we'll have for leftovers will be like a shredded beef, barbecued beef sandwiches. Ooh, that's
Really
yummy.
good. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So we're gonna go ahead and eat this meal, and I'll be back in another day or two. I can't decide. We might have leftovers tomorrow, and then we're going to do a copycat Godfather's dessert pizza. I love them. There are no Godfathers in this area anymore. There might be one farther up north, but not one that's close enough for us to go to. I love their dessert pizza. I was very sad that they all started shutting down around us. So I found a copycat recipe. We're gonna make a pizza, and we're gonna make a dessert pizza using this recipe. So we'll either do that tomorrow or the next day, and we'll be back when we're ready to start that recipe. Thanks, guys.